Good morning or good evening. My name is Kim and welcome back to my channel, Bookmarks and Breadsticks. If you're new to my channel, this channel focuses on food books. Remember, food books are not cookbooks. Food books are anything from food writing that could cover things like chef memoirs, food and history, or a special topic like the book review I'm going to go in today, Candy Freak, A Journey Through the Chocolate Underbelly of America by Steve Almond. And yes, that really is his last name. But first, I just want to remind you all, Black lives still matter. They will always matter. If you're in an area affected by COVID, please still wear a mask. It still matters. Wash your hands, and please remember to support your small businesses, nonprofits, and independently owned bookstores. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into Candy Freak. This is the second book in a series I'm doing called Sweet Treats, where I'll be focusing on food writing in the desserts category. So obviously, Candy Freak is about candy, but others on the docket are things like marshmallows. I have a book about Jell-O that I'll be covering, so everything sweet, sweet treats and deliciousness. So Candy Freak, The Journey Through the Chocolate Underbelly of America by Steve Almond. I gave this book 3 stars. It is a little bit dated. It's from 2008, so it's not that old, but it's getting on in its years. It is, sorry, I should have looked this up before. It is 250 pages, so it was pretty easy to get through. All in all, I think the main reason it loses stars is, first and foremost, the author takes a whole introduction to let you know that he's a freak. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being enthusiastic by food. Obviously, I have 100+ books behind me all about food, but there's something creepy about an author, and maybe it's because he's a male, continually telling you throughout the book that he's a freak. Like sometimes it gets like perverse, it almost gets sexual. It can just feel really uncomfortable, and he feels weird. And I don't think you have to be weird to love food or even obsessed enough to write a book about food. So that was one big docket and one big warning, I think, when you get into reading this book. So what is this book about? The Underbelly of Chocolate in America. So that's a little bit misleading because I find that the author actually goes to many different candy factories throughout the United States. What I like about this book is that if you're not familiar with how manufacturing and producing a food works, like in consumer product goods, Almond takes you through multiple factories, especially family-owned factories, small businesses. He visits a couple chocolate plants that are in Boston that are some of the few independently owned like chocolate making businesses that haven't been snatched up by Kraft or ConAgra or Mars Chocolate Factory, for example. So I do appreciate that he gave a lot of love to these small businesses. He also mentioned chocolates and candies I have never even heard of before. A few were Twing Bing, Idaho Spud. Could you imagine a potato? I immediately thought it was a potato, but it's a candy. Valamilk and Caravel. Do you have a favorite chocolate or candy that was discontinued, or that was discontinued, or what is your favorite chocolate or candy? Just like let me know in the comments below, because I think that will also gauge how interested you will be in this book. So like my favorite candy bar is not a Snickers, it's not a Milky Way, but I do love dark chocolate and dark salted chocolate. So I'm not a huge brand loyalist, but when I think back to trick-or-treating as a kid, I loved, do you remember those little packs of Dots gumdrops, and you were lucky if you got like 3 or 4 in the little box? That was probably one of my favorite candies, but I only got it on Halloween. And the candy my mom says I ate a lot but made myself sick over was Hershey's, the white chocolate cookies and cream bar, which now I don't even think I could go near white chocolate. Which, fun fact you'll learn in this book, is that white chocolate is actually not chocolate. It is a chocolate compound that is mixed with fats to solidify it and make it look creamy and luscious. So white chocolate is a lie. It's a lie. Anyway, he continues on this journey, and I find one thing that was funny is this guy hates coconut. So like loathes it. He gives you paragraphs on reasons on why he hates shredded coconut or coconut in general. And he goes on these plant tours and he meets all these people, and by meets them, he kind of pesters them until he gets a tour by not pretending he's impressed, but when you're writing a book, you can kind of say you're impressed, so you can kind of get in the door, and he gets shuffled around, and like the PR guy of the chocolate factory takes him on a tour, and Steve Almond's like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to an engineer. I want to talk to a food scientist. I want to talk to people who actually know how to make chocolate. I don't know where I was going with that. So I found parts of it were endearing and humorous. I liked that we got to learn about cool, rare chocolates that are still around and still owned by small businesses. I like that he does glorify the engineers, the R&D, research and development teams, much more than the marketing. A lot of people who create great products are unsung heroes. And as someone who works in food marketing, I always adore my cross-functional R&D team. They're the geniuses that make stuff taste good. I just know how to market and run advertising. But if the product's shit, no one's gonna eat it. So there were some things I found charming and really appreciated in the book. One of my favorite parts is that Almond meets this guy named Ray Brokel. And this guy is so famous that people thought he was dead, but he's not. He's in his 80s, at least at the time of writing this book. So if it's been 20 years, he'd be over 100, so he might be dead. But at the time of the book, he's alive. In this, Ray Brokel is like this almost food historian, but he's not a famous food historian. He's just like this 80-year-old retired guy, but in his basement, in his office are just, imagine like walls of filing cabinets, and then you open the filing cabinet and inside is candy wrappers. Candy wrappers from like the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. Candy wrappers that compare like Kit Kats in America to Kit Kats in Japan. Like, have you seen the cool flavors for Kit Kats in Japan? Like, they have green tea, they have matcha, all these amazing flavors that we are never gonna get here. That's what Brokel is. He was like a living museum. And it was so cool to have a whole chapter dedicated to this guy where Steve Almond just fangirls over him. It was awesome. It does make me a little sad. Like, think about how much knowledge is out there in the world that's just gonna disappear because all the knowledge is with this one person and they've dedicated their whole lives to something. And when they pass away, and Brokel has kids, but they're not interested in what he does, like, when he passed away, did his kids go through all of his stuff and go, oh, all of this is junk, I don't need to keep it, and threw it away? Like, could his children have potentially thrown away history that we'll never get back because it's not digitized? Like, that was something that really made me think. It's kind of why I really like my booktube videos and why I also have a food journal, a book journal now, is that I want to remember all these crazy books and adventures that I've been on. But anyway, Brokel was really cool. All in all, I gave the book a 3 out of 5. I think it's a fun book if you want to learn about candy. If you liked the show Unwrapped on the Food Network, where Mark Summers taught you how taffy was made or your favorite candies, give this book a read. It's definitely easy to understand. It doesn't get too technical. Just be warned that he likes to call himself a freak a lot, and he calls other people who love chocolate freaks sometimes, and I just found it a little off-putting and a little weird. But other than that, it's a fun read. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and in the comments below, tell me, like, what was your favorite candy? Or if it wasn't candy, what was your favorite sweet treat growing up? And if I continue this sweet series, what other books or topics do you want me to read about? Is the history of cupcakes interesting? Is the history of the brownie interesting? Let me know, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Hi everybody, it's Kim from the future. I wanted to let you guys know about a wonderful fundraiser I am participating with, Open Books. I am on Team Bookin' It, and we are working in partnership with Race Against Violence to help raise money for gun violence and awareness. And also, I wanted to continue to support my favorite nonprofit, Open Books in Chicago. I know I've talked about them before, but Open Books is a nonprofit that brings literacy programs through K through 12 in the Chicago community, and for every $25 you raise, you are able to provide one student with a book a month for the whole year. So my goal as a participant of Team Bookin' It is to raise $500 by the end of August to help this program. You can donate in the link in my description below. If you are able, especially us in the booktuber community, please consider donating. Every dollar counts. You can also contribute to them through
purchasing a book through Open Books website, excuse me. But I hope you guys will help me participate and hit that goal of $500 by the end of the month. I'm already a little over $100 in, so thank you for your support so far. And stay safe, wear a mask, help where you can. Black lives still matter. Have a nice night. Bye.